So what is a spec project? A spec project is essentially just a short film or a commercial that you make without anyone really asking you to do it. And there's a few advantages to this because it not only helps you develop your craft, but it also helps build up your portfolio. So I recently had some free time to do a spec project, and my mentality behind making the spec that I chose to do was something that was not only easy to execute, but something where me and my team can learn together and try different things out without having to stick to a specific creative. And how I actually started practicing filmmaking was actually just filming myself making coffee and tea in the morning. And for the most part, almost everybody drinks coffee and tea, so I thought this was a really easy project to do. So the super simple plot that I had for this spec was that I had 3 different scenes with 3 different people in it, and in each scene, everybody was doing a different, just mundane task. So the 3 different scenes we decided to do for our spec was just 3 everyday tasks. One guy in an office, one mom doing the dishes, and someone else just cutting wood. And the very simple storyline I had going for it was that in each task, the everyday sounds get louder and louder as you hear tea kettle boiling in the background. And then for the climax, the tea kettle boils, everything goes quiet, and then you have a 3-shot sequence of each person drinking tea in peace. So again, the idea was to have the spec be super simple. We had 3 different locations, which we ended up doing over 2 days, only because one of the locations was over 2 hours away, which is just something we had access to. And since I love talking about gear, I'm going to quickly touch upon the different pieces of gear that we used for this. For the camera that we used the Sony FX6 and the DZO Vespid lenses, which is just the kit that I had. And for the other pieces of gear that we used that was kind of cool was a probe lens and a fish tank. I've talked about the fish tank hack before, but you can get a fish tank on Amazon for like $20 or $40 max. And we used the fish tank inside of the sink to get a underwater shot of just cleaning some dishes. And for the lighting and grip package, we just used the lights that we had available to us between my gaffer and I that we already had in our kit. I wanted the light to be blasting through the windows in each of our scenes and be super hard on our subjects. And for that, we used mainly 2 Aperture 600Xs just blasting light through the window with the Fresnel lens. And then inside, when we're trying to key our subject, we mainly used the F22C to just kind of wrap the light around on the face a little bit. And then here and there, we used a couple Amaran tube lights just to kind of give a little bit of a kick or a fill when needed. But the point in this video is to not talk about gear so much, even though it's a little hard for me being a little bit obsessed with camera gear. So what do I think is actually the main benefits about creating a spec? One of the reasons why I think making a spec is important for anyone to do at any skill level is actually working with a team. Chances are there's always people in your local filmmaking community that's down to help with a spec project. And the best place that I found to find people within your community is looking on Facebook or Instagram and just asking around. I started off by offering people my help at first and then asking the favor back when I had a spec project myself. And I feel super fortunate because I had access to an amazing team of people that wanted to offer their time and effort to help with my spec. And that just comes with time and building relationships within people in the filmmaking community and just asking for help when needed. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's a win-win for everybody because not only do you get help, but everybody else gets to maybe try out a different role that they haven't done in the past, or they just get more experience within a set with little to no pressure. And if you're planning your first spec and you're thinking, oh, I need a ton of people on my set, maybe it's actually a good thing to have less people because you don't want to feel overwhelmed without having too many people on set at one time. And that being said, I only had about 5 different people help on my spec, consisting of a director, an AC, a gaffer, a grip and a swing, and a BTS person. And when you're asking people to be on your set, it's important to be clear and upfront about everything that you're trying to do. You want to not only let them know that it's probably going to be unpaid, but also you want to let them know of things like call time, when you're expecting to finish it, and also give them proper credit when you're posting it on social media. And at the end of the day, I love my sets to be fun and inviting because everybody's just learning and growing, and there's no better way to do it than to do a spec project. Okay, so now it's time to talk about the real world upsides to creating a spec. So I think that in addition to learning, using your spec project to build your portfolio is one of the best reasons for doing it in the first place. For this project in particular, my AC Josh Harwood came up with the amazing idea to actually use different tea brands and just switch out the tea in every single shot to be able to pitch it to different companies at the same time. That way our chances for landing a client or just selling the spec as a whole is increased by however many times we actually decide to switch out the brand. This doesn't necessarily work for every single project, but it's a great thing to keep in mind when you're building your first spec. And I've talked a little bit about portfolio building, but I think that making specs is a great way to build your portfolio with work that you actually like. My goal for this year is to build up my portfolio with specs and projects that I actually like and I enjoy doing in the first place. And I think one of the best things about doing spec projects is that there's no real expectation or pressure to do anything amazing. And I love getting to create something that I just want to create without having to feel the pressure from a client to fit within a certain creative and getting to try out different things like using a probe lens or a fish tank. So to wrap it all up, build up your squad, make something dope, and don't forget to learn something along the way.